mode. I'm assuming you can all still hear me, right? Great. So the first thing I want to say, guys, we are now midpoint of 2016. We've entered July. We're now 20 days into the second half of 2016. And I want you to use the first half to look back and assess what you've done with your business. You know, how have you operated with it? Are you getting what you wanted to accomplish when you set out in the beginning of New Year, when you made that resolution with Alphay? And if you haven't, what was missing? Can you pinpoint what was missing or where your particular stuck flow was? And if you've had success, how can you double it? How can you triple it? How can you turn that success into a duplicatable system that anybody can do? That not only anybody, but everybody that you bring in can do, and that you can be on this call teaching all of us exactly what you did that's duplicatable, that can inspire everybody to do what you did. So that's how I want you to think, for those of you who have really reached your goals or surpassed your goals. And for those of you who have not, I really want you to take a look at where were you prioritizing your time, and where were you prioritizing your energy? Because if it didn't produce a result, it may be time to prioritize your actions elsewhere and attention elsewhere. Now, I'm going to give you my particular awareness and reality. I've always known what it takes to succeed, not only in Alphay, but in any network marketing company. And only because I've been privileged enough to meet enough people that succeeded in network marketing, and they all did exactly the same thing that made them successful. I have a very good friend here in New York City who is making over $40,000 a month with another company. And I get to bump into him once in a while. And even with his success, he is doing the very same thing he always did when I knew that he was starting. He has not stopped. And that one single thing is showing the Alphay opportunity to people, or showing your opportunity and your products to people. There is really no other solution. It's not a better video. It's not better brochures. It's not better websites. It's not something that the company can do better. It's not, as a matter of fact, if you compare what we have to other companies, I mean, we have mostly everything there. And Emily Watson, I don't know if she's on tonight, but she's so aware of this. And those of you who've gone to Eric Worre, you'll hear the same thing from Eric Worre. He will emphasize the same thing. But Emily, I wish she was on tonight, because what she said to me was so cool. She put it in such a way. She said, you know, Alphay is like a deck of cards. Succeeding in network marketing is like a deck of cards. In every deck of cards, there's 4 aces. But you're not going to get those 4 aces until you get 52 cards in your hands. And with those 52 cards, we're not talking about talking to 52 people. We're talking about having 52 people that have come into your organization as either preferred customers or distributors. And you are guaranteed, when you get your 52 cards in your hands, you have your 4 aces. That's, when she said that, it's just like, what a simple way to think. What a great way to think. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, guys, I guarantee that if you find network marketers that are successful, even pay for their time, or actually, better yet, ask them to present their opportunity to you. And then ask them, what was it that made you successful? They will tell you that what made them successful is exactly what they're doing to you right now. They're showing you the opportunity, and they're doing it over and over and over again until they get their 52 cards that's going to result in their 4 aces. And plain and simple, if all of you ask yourself whether you prospect to that degree, I am sure, and I include myself in that role. I'm just as poor in not doing that as everybody else there is. And that is that I don't prospect enough people to get those 52 cards. And I want to change that. That's why these next 6 months, I am emphasizing prospect, showing the plan, getting your 52 cards so you get your 4 aces by this year. And I just want to know if you guys are all on board for that. Do you all agree with that, or do you have any disagreements about what I'm saying? That really, that is the clearest path on how we succeed. Beautiful. So having said that, I am so privileged and happy to introduce Samantha, who's going to talk about how she shows the plan, because Samantha is one of the few people that knows this truth. And as long as I've known Samantha and Jake and her sister, they have always known that that's the truth. Now, babies have come in the way, life has come in the way. Sure, life happens. But if you know the truth, you can at least say, hey, I'm not doing what it's going to take me to succeed, and when the right time comes, I will. And all I want you all to be aware of is that the path to succeed is clear. There's no surprise. There's no mystery. All we have to learn is how to do it. Not do it better. We don't have to do it better. All we have to do is do it. So I want to introduce our guest speaker for tonight, who's going to give us the gift of how she shows the plan and where she goes from the very beginning. And then we'll have a great discussion about this to further take this to the next level. So without any further ado, and with great pride and admiration, I introduce to you Samantha.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Anton. What I always love about when you speak is that you're so transparent, and I feel like all of us can agree that so many of our mentors are so transparent. And I love what you were saying, that you have all these goals, you haven't done what you wanted to do, and you're gonna step up your game. And that's what we all want to hear, because nobody's doing this perfectly. We're all kind of on that same playing field, and that's really what network marketing is all about, is that we are all on the same playing field. There isn't a degree you need to have in network marketing. It's all about just doing it, which is another thing that you brought up, and I'll talk a lot about in the Showing the Plan training, is that the only way to get better is to show the plan. If any of you have had the privilege of listening to Brian Lyles talk about showing the plan, he is a huge inspiration for me with this PowerPoint, because he talks about, if you're not good at it, show the plan. If you stumble, show the plan. If you don't have enough people on your team, show the plan. If you're nervous, show the plan. The answer is always to show the plan. So it couldn't have come at a perfect time. So beautiful. I'm going to share my screen here, and we'll bring up my PowerPoint, and we'll see if this helps with a little bit of visuals. It's up here. All right, and we're not just talking about how to show the plan, we're going to talk about how to nail it, just so everyone is aware, because that is really the key to success in network marketing, is getting really good at showing the plan. So this slide, I just want to point out to people, can everybody, I can't really see anyone, so Denise, text me if you can't see this.
It looks good, Sam.
Okay, perfect. So STP, get really familiar with that, because that's one of the other things I've learned from Brian Lyles is knowing how to kind of like brand and market Alphay. You guys might have seen our group does a lot of hashtagging with like do you Alphay, things like that. STP is another one we want to get going, because showing the plan is really what we want to focus our energy on. And that's really what's going to get you guys the most results. And so I call it SCP, nailing a napkin presentation, because for those of you who were like me starting out, I was never, in network marketing to the point where I understood what a napkin presentation was. But for people who have been in network marketing a lot, from years and years ago, I guess napkin presentation is really what they call showing the plan, because essentially what it's derived from is when you go and have coffee with someone or lunch or whatever, you should be able to basically show the plan on a napkin and kind of show how this works, how we make money, all this stuff. So what people would do before we had these awesome tools that, companies are now providing and Alphay is doing a fantastic job at, before we had those tools, you would basically have to draw out the plan on a napkin. So that's kind of where that terminology came from. So we're going to talk about that. So as I've already talked about, keep calm and show the plan. That is the number one rule really with network marketing. And Anton kind of spoke to that as well, is that you really just have to show the plan. That's all you have to do, is just get in front of people and show the plan. So what we're going to talk about today is getting really clear on what you're doing to accomplish your goals and get others clear on this. So this is the objective to showing the plan. Showing the plan lets others know what you're doing to accomplish your goals, why you're doing it, how you're going to do it, and why or when they should consider joining you. So I try to talk in that language of the what, why, how, when, just because this is kind of one of those things that we've learned since probably we were little, of explaining things in a whole round perspective. So number one thing when you're going to show the plan with anybody is to build rapport. Now, for people who are newer to the business, you're going to have a list of people that you know pretty well. For people like, Anton, Denise, myself, that have been in this for quite some time, we're getting to the point where our, what we call warm market list is kind of tapped out. So we're meeting new people, we're putting ourselves in positions to meet new people. And so we're at that stage where a lot of our prospecting needs some building rapport in the forefront. So getting to know what's important to them, trying to get at their why. If you guys haven't really gotten clear on your own why, do that first, because it's really hard to get at somebody else's why if you don't really know even what your own why is. And your why is why you're doing this business. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. And trying to identify their fish type. Now, this is a whole different training. Denise is an awesome 4 fish training, but basically there's 4 personality types that they call the 4 fish. We're not really going to get into it, but that is another thing. If you don't know anything that we're talking about, please talk to your upline and they can get you some more information on what that is. But the 4 fish types, if you can kind of figure out what kind of personality the person that you're talking to is, it really helps you focus in on what to really highlight when you're talking about the company and the products and what you have to offer. Always be looking for opportunities to create leverage. Now, this is huge. I got this real quick when I started network marketing, is always looking for what I can leverage. This is really huge with social media too, because if you see a post and, Scott talks about how you should prospect people at the right time. And this leverage piece comes in here, because one of the things that I do when I'm looking for people to talk to and to show the plan to is that when I'm looking through Facebook, I'm always thinking in the back of my head, what can I leverage? So if they post something where I can leverage something they said to bring up Alphay to them or to start the conversation and start building rapport, leverage anything that you can. When there's events coming up, the Mexico incentive, any of these things that you can leverage to just kind of almost put that, little bug in someone's ear to get them thinking about it. I was listening to training recently, and it was talking about how the biggest enemy, I guess, in network marketing is obscurity, is people not knowing who you are. And that really hit home for me, because you want people to know who you are. And so that whole thing with Facebook and, showing the plan and all this stuff, people need to know who you are if they're ever going to join your team. So if you're not showing the plan, no one knows what you have. No one knows who you are. You're going to get a lot of no's, but if no one knows who you are, you won't even get the no. So that's spoke really huge to me. So watch body language as well. This is something, a lot of these skills actually come with time, and it gets with showing the plan, and it gets with being not very good at showing the plan to begin with. But as you start to get more comfortable with the information that you're sharing, you get to be more present in the conversation and in that building rapport, that you're watching for cues for people to be open enough for you to share the opportunity. Because one thing is that you might, invite someone to have coffee with you, and you're going to show them the plan. And, you might need to have a second cup of coffee with them. You might need to wait a little bit, because you can tell by people's body language if they're really open to receiving information, or if they're kind of like in that fight or flight close off mode where they're kind of, waiting for you to sell them something. So you really have to show people that we're different, that Alphay is different, that what you're doing is different. And that's kind of where I direct myself when I'm showing the plan. And you'll see this as we go on. So how do you go from talking to somebody, over coffee or lunch or whatever, to showing the plan? This is a huge question I get from my team all the time, is how do you transition into Alphay? It's really tough to just be like, oh, by the way, there's something I wanted to talk to you about. People just can't find that right terminology. And so I really like to, another network marketing term is using an elevator speech. Now, again, this is another training, but just a little blurb in here to get people thinking. And I did do a post on this in the newspaper not that long ago, but what I like to use in my elevator speech, now what this is something that's in 30 seconds or less tells people what it is that you're doing. What do you do? And so what I try to do, instead of trying to transition to saying Alphay, I try to transition to them asking me what I'm up to. So, what are you doing? What do you do? Any of those kind of questions where I can then use my elevator speech. So that's kind of how I transition, is I get them to ask me, what have you been up to? So what I like to use to really make it easy, and this is just something to kind of spark people's interest and to make this your own. And there's a lot of different angles you can come at, but I'm really going to focus on the business part of this. Despite that, the mushrooms and the health benefits and all this stuff, I'm a nurse by trade. For those of you who don't know, that was what really brought me into this business. But I've really gotten to have a really fond liking of the business aspect. And so I really like this elevator speech, and this is what I use, and I really try to push this, because people who are talking to me typically know that I'm a nurse, know that I'm into holistic health, but what they don't know is that I'm a businesswoman, and I'm a business owner, and I'm looking to create residual income, and I'm looking to achieve huge things that come with residual income. So my elevator speech that I like to use is, you start out with, how some people. Now, some people can be anybody. It can be, how some nurses, how some young people, how some whatever it is that you want to do. You don't have to say some people or most people or whatever. You can, direct it to your audience if you want, but I usually keep it pretty general depending on who I'm talking to. But how some people, and then, well, I help those people. So you're basically getting whoever you're talking to be able to relate to what it is that you do. Because right when you say, how some people are thinking in their head, like, do I know some people that? So they're already getting engaged. And that's the point of this type of elevator speech. So the one I like to use is, how most people have a gap between what they want their life to look like and what their life actually looks like. Well, I help those people close that gap with my business. It's called Alphay. And the reason I wanted to meet up today is because I'm looking for people who want to close that gap, no matter how small or how big theirs is. And so that's the one that I like to use. And I actually got this gap thing in a conversation with Brian Lyles, again, in the meeting after the meeting, which that's another thing that could have a whole training on. But this is why you want to get to events, you want to go to Mexico, you want to earn these incentive trips, because the meetings after the meetings are really where this key stuff is. And I learned, a lot of what I teach on at the meetings after the meetings, 1 a.m. in a bar with Brian Lyles or, anyone, Scott, Anton, when these, meetings after meetings happen. So it's a cool thing. But that's the one that I like to use. And this is where you're talking about your what. So what is Alphay? So now when you're talking about that, that doesn't really give people enough to really get on your same page. Okay. So they're going to start asking questions, well, what is Alphay? Now it's going to talk in the next slide about using a tool. And so just remember that no matter what you're doing, when you're talking about showing the plan, always have tools. Try as hard as you can not to explain anything that we don't just without a tool. have a tool in front of you, have something to look at, because people are always going to be asking themselves three things. They're going to ask themselves, can I do this? Do I have time to do this? And would I do what she's doing to me, to my friends and family? So those are these three questions they're going to ask them. And if you're not using a tool and you're just kind of chat about how these mushrooms work and it's so awesome, this business, and if you get this person and this person, then you get this, then you get paid this much, and you're not showing them any visuals or any way that they can show other people, it's really, really difficult for them to see themselves doing this. And it's also difficult for people who can see themselves doing that to get started, because they think they have to learn everything before they actually show the plan, which is completely counterintuitive. So what is Alphay? Things that I like to point out when I'm when I'm showing the plan to somebody is that our product line, first of all, very few people know about it. I hit on that so much and stress that so much. I'm definitely an early adopter. I'm looking for other early adopters, people who like to hear about things ahead of the curve. I saw that this is the next best thing in healthcare. And I saw that this is going to be like absolutely changing. I had never heard of it. I talk about how, I basically had Googled health benefits of medicinal mushrooms, and all this literature came up, and it was just like amazing. And I was actually mad about it because I was in nursing school, and I was like, what are they teaching me in nursing school? I really, really touch on this whole very few people know about it. And I point out, like, I didn't even know about it. And of all people I know, I should have known about it. Also that it fits into daily life and it doesn't require anyone to change their habits. This is absolutely huge. And I really stress on this. Being a nurse, that was the hardest thing for me working med-surg, is in the medical surgical area. I get called out on using my nursing stuff and people don't know what I'm talking about. But working in the medical field, it was really, really tough for me, which is a huge reason why I switched to labor and delivery, because talking to people about changing their habits, we know as nurses, a lot of times you'll hear nurses say, well, they're not going to do that when they go home anyways. And so why should we even try? Why should it matter? All these different things. And it's hard, because that's really what it comes down to. It's tough to be really empowering people and educating them in healthcare, because people don't want to change their habits. You need something that fits easily into a daily life, and that's what Alphay has. Who do you know who drinks coffee on a daily basis, or tea? Just about everybody. Who do you know who walks or sleeps? Better yet, who sleeps like crap? These are the types of things that I say when I'm sitting down with people. All of our products fit so well into other people's lives, and it doesn't require them to have to change their habits. Also, it's unique and it hasn't been done. Again, back to that whole nobody knows about this thing. There aren't a lot of other companies out there that are doing what we're doing, and then those that are, it's just not even an apples to apples comparison. And those are the things that is not necessarily for the showing the plan type. That's for people who are asking questions. We have other tools that can show them why Alphay is different if they've heard about other companies or, whatever. Also, what is Alphay? A company that, first of all, is looking to be the best. I talk about that a lot, how we're trying to do network marketing differently. We're trying to be the best, that we've created this ecosystem to support people on how we're doing this and why we're doing this and what, that we don't have to kind of come up with our own thing. We don't have to, just post things all over social media about our product lines, and we don't have to do all this stuff that other companies are doing. We don't have to have, these parties and find different people to have our products, because our products are highly consumable. We're looking to be the best, and we're backed by 5,000 years of tradition and almost 60 years of research. That is huge. Alphay did not start out a network marketing company. It started out a biotech research company. We're associated with universities and hospitals and all this stuff. I just talk a lot about that, how it's different. Also, Alphay wants you to succeed. This is where you get to bring in other people's stories. My last training I did, we talked a lot about stories and how important stories are. The people that have gone to China, I've gone to China, the people are going to Mexico, all these different things. People in the top of Alphay are succeeding because Alphay wants them to succeed. We talk so much about, I know Denise says this all the time, how much Alphay is a generous company. And it is so true. They've done so many crazy things that other companies just haven't done. And they're going to continue to do that. I talk about one of the other things that I've learned about Alphay is that the chairman makes less than 1% of his income through the network marketing division of Alphay. I say that a lot because I think that's absolutely mind-blowing, because when you get to talk to people who have been in network marketing and you get to show them the plan and they're looking at the comp plan and how much we pay out compared to other comp plans, it's pretty ridiculous the amount of money that we pay out. And so I always talk about that to them because they're kind of wondering how Alphay can pay out as much as it does. Well, the chairman has been in multiple different businesses, and he doesn't just get income from the network marketing division of Alphay. You know, Alphay was around long before it had network marketing. It's associated with all these different things. The chairman, does not just get his money from network marketing. He gets less than 1% of his income from network marketing division of Alphay. So we can pay out a lot of money. Now here's this part where we show the tool. Now, my favorite way to basically show the what and what Alphay is actually with a sample, and with that sample envelope that you can get, because it has like this little saying on it, and you can give it to them. They can open it up and they're like, oh, you have coffee? It's like, yes, we got coffee. That literally happens when I'm sitting down with people. Is we'll be talking about all these different things, about dreams and why, and you know, all these different stuff, and at the end of it they'll be like, okay, well, what's your product? And it's like, oh yeah, that's right, we have a product. Here, look at this. And they'll open it and they'll be like, no way, you have coffee. Yes, we got coffee. Now, obviously, we know that coffee is not, it's the beginning of what all we have, but it's really, really exciting to people because it's all about that habit thing, and they're right away thinking about who do they know who drinks coffee on a daily basis. Also, we just got this awesome new product website. I don't know if you guys have been on it yet. If you haven't, go to it, because there is a lot more information than the old website had on it, especially the ones where it talks about why mushrooms, all these different things. This is actually a blurb from that website, from the new website. And it points out the daily lifestyle choices. People are looking for answers. They're looking for something that's simple, you know, and then it goes into Lingji. And so it kind of gives you a transition to talking about why Lingji. Also, the G-Cell website has that video that they talk about how G-Cell works. I use that video to explain like what are medicinal mushrooms. It's one of my starting off points for sure, because it just makes so much sense. It's animated. It has these little things that are gobbling up stuff in your immune system. It's great. I like it a lot. Also, brochures. We have the cafe beverage line fold out. I like to use that one because it does talk a little bit about the mushrooms, and then it shows that we have things that are highly consumable. That's one that we use. In handouts, some people have created different handouts. In articles, I have this article about anti-aging that I use a lot, about how the Lingji mushroom basically helps you anti-age from the inside out. We have that article that has all of the different links to all different literature about Lingji. So depending on who you're sitting down with, don't bring like all these tools, because again, you're trying to keep this simple, but these are just options just to get people's minds thinking. You get to pick what you like the best, and depending on who you're talking to, who your audience is, they're going to like certain things. And again, that 4-fish training, Denise, you got to do one of those 4-fish training again, because that was awesome. But that kind of helps you pick your tools and what, again, to highlight with whichever audience you're talking to. So we're getting into now the why. This is huge. This is super huge. Even though it seems like we spent a lot of time on the what is very small, very, very small. Because when you're showing the plan, you're going to focus way more on why and how. Because one thing that I've learned is that in network marketing, despite us having amazing products and an amazing company, people who are true networkers, it doesn't matter the business, it doesn't matter the product. It's just more like icing on the cake. What really matters is why you're doing it, and that's what gets people excited. Anyone who's read, any of the books, they talk a lot about Apple. Apple focuses on why you want to buy Apple products. It's not necessarily that what they have is so much better than every other company, but Apple has a why. And so this is what you're really focusing on. So you need to get really clear on your own. Is it because you're trying to pay off debt? Is it because you want more time with your family and friends, to be part of something bigger, to make a difference? You want more recognition, to be part of a community. Something bigger than yourself is a huge one that I use. But again, you have to pull at people's heartstrings. You have to pull the core of them and really get to something deeper and paint them a picture, illustrate why you're doing this. Illustrate why you're doing this and get it so that their eyes light up and they start to think about, well, that sounds so cool. Like, I'd want to be part of something like that. They start thinking about their why. So cater it to your audience. This is another thing. A lot of us are in Alphay for probably all those reasons, but you don't have time to sit and list reasons. And to be honest, the more that you list out all of the reasons that you're doing Alphay, the more kind of diluted it gets. Start to leverage your why to cater to your audience. So if you're talking to someone in healthcare who what we call is a whale, likes to help people, you're going to focus more on the mushroom things and what this is doing for other people. But if you have somebody who's, a shark and is more business minded and into finance and invests and all these different things, they're not really going to care so much about that. They're going to care about how they make money, that you're like, oh, I'm creating residual income, I'm being able to travel, all these different things. You want to cater your why, take pieces of it depending on who you're talking to. And so the goal here is to put them into dream mode. Okay, so dream mode is where they start getting so involved in your why that they start thinking about their own why. And you can also ask them about that. Wouldn't you want to do that? Have you ever thought about, what are your kind of things that you'd like to do? And you just kind of get into this talk where it's almost like you forget about that you're even here for a business thing. You're really just talking about life. Okay. This is also your time to interview them. Because if you're talking to somebody and you're talking about this why and they're looking all around and they're not really engaged, and it might be because you didn't build enough rapport yet, they're still closed off, they're kind of like that, what are you trying to sell to me still? Or it could be that they just they're kind of settling, they kind of are cool where they're at, and they're not really looking for anything big. They kind of have their mind made up that this is life and life is awesome and that's great. But you're looking for those people that are passionate, that are like, there is something more to what I'm doing and I don't know exactly what it is, but there is something more that I should be doing. And those are the people you're looking for, the big dreamers, the people that go out and talk to, all these people that aren't afraid to talk to people and, are kind of intertwining themselves into different conversations, and they're outgoing, and you're kind of interviewing them and being like, okay, do I really want this person on my team? I think we would be awesome at this. So always keep that in mind too, because you're also deciding if this is someone you really want on your team, or maybe this is even someone who you're looking more so at referrals. So then you can kind of switch gears to not necessarily talking about them, but again, the who do you know, just like with your elevator speech, how some people might not be them, but chances are they know people. So now you're kind of switching gears with that and looking more so for referrals. The how. So how is really important. People are going to want to know, okay, so awesome. You have this way that you feel like it's really going to allow you to do X, Y, Z. This platform is called Alphay. It's your vehicle to achieve your dreams, all this stuff. But how are you going to do it? Again, back to the tools. You have to use your tools, because if you start talking about how you're going to do this and you have no tools, at least write on a napkin, like spell it out, draw whatever you need to draw, but don't just say it, because they're not going to retain it and they're not going to be able to duplicate it. So we have a lot of tools. We have online videos. Now, I don't really bring up like a video and watch a video, but I know that there are people that have, where you're actually sitting down with them, and you bring up the video, you watch the video with them in person. But I do talk about how we have videos, if I sent you it, would you watch it? And it's kind of almost like the piece that I use to create my follow-up. Because also you don't want to just leave this showing the plan if they don't decide like, oh, awesome, this is what I want to do. You need kind of that second step to keep exposing them, answering their questions, to get them to the part where you're getting to the, do you see an opportunity for yourself? And if they want to, if it's a yes or a no kind of thing. So you always talk about your tools. They don't have to watch them then, but just basically getting to the questions they have where you can send them tools. And then also that sampling. Like I said, Just having that little envelope, it has things in it. You can put little brochures, your business card also. One thing that I'm working on right now is actually I'm looking at moo.com. I don't know if anyone's been to moo.com, but they have sweet business cards. But I want to put one of those QR scan codes on it so that I can choose either, like a video I want them to watch, or I haven't really quite decided on what I want to have them scan. But if you have a business card and you have a QR code on it, you can have a video or a PDF or whatever you want it is where they can scan it on their phone and it brings it up on their phone. So that is one thing that I'm looking into right now and working on. The tools make sharing information easy. Again, we're talking about duplication. It needs to be easy. We need to show them that we have a system, that Alphay is different. We have a system. It's called ecosystem. It's in place for us. It has all of these tools. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to memorize stuff. You don't have to, give big presentations. You're using your tools. Also use your team. Start with the edification. I'm working with a top income earner in Alphay. You should meet this person. Oh, I was just on a call with this person. Always leveraging who you're working with. And again, if you have a team member that you're like, gosh, they would really, really just love this person that's on my team. They're so much like them. Edify them, because then again, it's your next step. It sets up that follow-up right away where it's like, hey, you remember that person I was telling you about? You should really meet her. You should really meet him. Like, you guys would hit it off so well. You're really just connecting people. Networking is connecting people. Local and incentive events. This is, again, going back to the fish stuff. There's a fish called the dolphin that likes to have fun. We have so much fun together. You're talking about the community. This is really, you're trying to figure out who you're talking to and what would get them excited. How we support each other in the community, talking about our Facebook groups and, people commenting on different things and supporting each other, and, the transparency of the team that I was talking about earlier with Anton and stuff. All of this stuff is what you're kind of showing them how we're different and how you're doing this to create something that creates residual income and allows you to achieve your dreams. Trainings. So again, we don't just leave people hanging. We have trainings every Sunday, every Wednesday. We have recorded trainings. We have this whole website that Anton has created that has all the different trainings, and we're just adding more and more to it. And we're really trying to give people all the tools that they need to really succeed. Okay, and then also all the stuff in our back office. We don't have to order all of these brochures and catalogs and all this stuff and spend all this money. We have all these things that we can share online and that we can print off. And everybody that is, Crossline, whatever, everyone in Alphay, when they make stuff, they share it on the Alphay newspaper, and everybody helps each other out. It just is an awesome thing. And, talking about these different aspects of how we're going to do this. Now, this is getting into the actual showing the plan thing. Okay, so this how. These next few slides are exactly what I do with every single person that I sit down with when I ask them, so would you like to know how I'm doing this? Okay, the unilevel monthly commission chart is one of my favorite things to show people. It talks exactly about why we do Power 3 and why Alphay is different, because we're focusing on growing people in depth. We're not just telling people to go out there and just sponsor as many people as you want and then be like, hey, have fun, let me know if you make any money. We are trying to find a core leadership team of people that we're going to really grow and show them how this is done. Okay, so I explained to them, the differences between levels. I explained to them volume points and how we need a universal system, because Alphay is a global business, and so we can't just have everything in dollar amounts, because of the dollar in the US is going to be different than in Europe and in Mexico and in Malaysia. So we have to have a point system. And so I explained that they use 100 volume points, which is going to be like 2 bottles of capsules. Now, if you're in Alphay, you're going to be taking the capsules anyway. If you have a family, you're going to be at least getting 2 bottles of capsules. And 100 is an easy round number, so they use this. And look what happens if you just find 3 people and they each are getting 2 bottles of capsules a month. You get paid 15% on all your level 1 people. Level 1 is anyone you introduce to the business. Level 2 is anyone they introduce to the business, and so on and so forth. And we're just looking at 3, find 3, find 3. That is our plan. This is showing the plan. The plan is 3, find 3, find 3, find 3. Okay? And look what happens when that divides out like this. If you found 3 people and they all just found 3 people, and you did this down to 10 levels, which is what Alphay pays to, which is way deeper than most companies pay for. Plus we have 15% at level 1 and 5% all the way down through level 10. And I usually kind of bring up, I would do a little bit of research on different companies that you hear about a lot, or that you're talking to people that are in a lot, and get to know their comp plan a little bit, because I use examples on how we're different, because there's nobody else that is doing this much percentage. And 5% to someone who's never been in network marketing doesn't seem like a lot, but if you've seen other people's comp plans and you understand it, 5% is huge down to 10 levels. So really leveraging that. But if you do that, down to 10 levels, you would be making $442,890 a month. And again, using leverage everything you can. Use the intonation of your voice, all of this stuff. And I also, again, go back to the transparency. Now, this is never going to happen like this. This is a perfect example. In a perfect world, this would be awesome, but it's never going to happen. There will never be a time where 3 people find 3 people, find 3 people, find 3 people, all the way down to 10 levels. It just won't happen. But look at if you would screw it up by 50%. If you got 50% wrong, you would still be making $221,000 a month. Now, this is a month in one of 13 ways that we earn income. Okay? Now, that's amazing. $221,000 a month. Again, 50% might seem a little bit high. Everyone finds 1.5 people. Okay? But look at this. Even if you screw it up by 90%, you only get 10% right. You still are earning $44,000 a month residual income in one of 13 ways to earn income. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I also tell people about this 10 levels. Now, this is a long-term income example. Again, Alphay is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is not. We're going to show you a way that you can earn how you invest in and how you can earn your investment back. We have ways to earn your investment back in the first 30 days. I can show you exactly how that's done. But the point of Alphay is to create residual income that can last for generations. But I'm going to ask you right now, if it took you 30 years to get down to 10 levels and you only got 10% right, and you were making $44,000 a month, would it be worth it? Because I'm telling you right now that I'm a nurse, I make really good money, but even 30 years from now, I will not be making $44,000 a month in one of 13 ways to earn income. It just won't happen. So I really point that out, because it's something that's so far out of people's reach, but you have to really bring it back into terms that this is so cool that it doesn't even matter to me how long it takes me to get down to screwing it up by 90% down to 10 levels, because $44,000 a month is way more than I'm ever going to make in my current career. Okay. And again, this no limited commission. So this is a huge chart for me showing the plan. Now, we also have a Power 3 profit example. Denise created this, so thank you, Denise, always creating awesome things. This is how to recoup your initial investment. So I start talking about what it looks like to start an Alphay. That when you start, you invest in product. You can invest in 3 different levels, talking about these different things. And then I show them how to get their money back. So this is kind of one of those things that you have to really play around with, and you have to do it, because the first time you explain this to somebody, you're going to confuse yourself. Okay, so you might even want to try this on like a friend and just be like, hey, I need somebody to practice on, because I just am not very good at math, and I just need to make sure that I'm saying this right and it makes sense. But you will get better at it. And that's just all this is about. If you want to get better at showing the plan, then you got to show the plan. So this is talking about people coming in at the builder level. If you found 3 people who came in at the builder level, that's 525 bonus volume points. This already gets you at the rank of gold. Your first order bonus at 15%, which is what you're going to get all the time, is $78.75. And in your first 30 days, we give you extra cash bonuses to try to recoup your initial investment. Okay, so if you take that and you add it together, that's $153.75. Now, to come in at builder, it's about $250. So you're already over half of the way to earning your initial investment back. Same with that leader. It's about $500. and you're earning over half again back just in having 3 people do what you just did. So if you invested at Leader, you had 3 people do what you just did, you just got over half of your money back with 3 people doing what you just did in your first 30 days. Executive, same kind of thing. Okay, now this is getting like super close to what you invested in. Okay, so this is the power 3, and I also kind of bring it into, now we also have a 10 customer club profit. So I kind of created this little blurb, I guess, of how to show people what happens when you then get customers, because this money in your first 30 days, you also have significant income opportunity with customers in your first 30 days to get your initial investment back. So what I have here is I talk to people about 10 coffee customers, and I explain that I always encourage people to do 2 boxes of coffee because it's going to save them $5.50 on shipping, because shipping 1 box of coffee versus 2 boxes of coffee is the same $5.50 on shipping. Okay, so if someone, even if they're going to try it at retail, try 2 boxes. If they're going to do wholesale, get 2 boxes. If they're not going to go through 2 boxes, you can show them how to kind of every other month their auto ship. I'm hoping that Alphay comes out with something where we can do like every other month or figure it out that way, but you can show them how to log in, push back their auto ship date and do that. But it makes more sense for people to get 2 boxes of coffee at a time because you're saving $5.50. Now, what this does is it shows you that each box of coffee is worth 12 points. So 2 boxes of coffee is 12 points per customer. There's 10 customers, that's 240 volume points. You get an extra 30% on top of the normal 15% on all your customers in your first 30 days if you get 10 customers or more. So the minute you get 10 customers, you not only get 15%, but you get an extra 30% of the volume points. So a total of 45%. 240 times 45% is $108. Now this is just wholesale commissions. So if you had all of your auto ship customers at wholesale pricing, they're on auto ship, so they're getting it at wholesale pricing, you still make $108 in your first 30 days because of this extra 30% off, which I think is super, super awesome. Now, if you are a retail salesperson and you sell everything at retail and people are just trying out the boxes, they're not really sure if they want to get on auto ship, so you're like, okay, awesome, just put in 2 boxes. It's only $5 more per box to do retail, but that $5 more per box on 10 customers that are getting 2 boxes gives you an extra $100 in your first 30 days. So $208 would be your 30-day profit for just retail coffee customers. So if we go back to the previous slide and we add the $208 to your $153, now you're over what you invested by having 3 people do what you just did and then having just 10 coffee customers. Same with here, 208 plus 307 is 515. Now you're over your initial investment just having 10 coffee customers and 3 people do what you just did that are interested in the business opportunity. Now, let's step this up to people who bought a bottle of capsules or a pair of Gemsols. Imagine, I don't even have the longevity pack on here. I know that Tom Gillette sells longevity packs all day long. This is, again, just with a bottle of capsules or a pair of Gemsols. Okay, so 50 points per customer. You have 10 customers, that's 500 volume points. If you take 500 times the 45% in your first 30 days, you get, again, wholesale profit. This is people who bought stuff at the same price you paid as a distributor without being a distributor. Okay, anyone on auto ship gets wholesale pricing. You still make $225 on 10 customers that buy a bottle of capsules or a pair of Gemsols in your first 30 days. That's insane. Okay, now say that they got it for retail. Again, that's upping it to 140 to 190, depending on if they do kidney for women or men of retail profit. Okay, so your 30-day profit with just 1 bottle of capsules or 1 pair of Gemsols for retail customers is anywhere from $365 to $415. Again, kidney for men and women is 55 points instead of 50 points. So you get a little bit more for that. So if you're adding that, say it's just a 365 and we go back to here, 615 to 365, you're almost at that $1,000 for your executive pack with getting 10 customers and 3 business builders. Okay, so this is what I kind of like to show people, real life examples. If you do this, you get this. Okay, It's really, really powerful for people to see what happens if you really follow through on the incentives that they give you in those first 30 days, because again, Alphay wants you to get your money back as soon as possible. Now you're going to get to the when. This is kind of like that closing, that when should they join you? Make your intentions clear. Okay, I'm looking for partners and I thought of you. This may not be anything you're interested in. That is a huge, huge thing that I say, because people are always still kind of eerie about people trying to sell them something. Telling them right off the bat, I don't really care if you're not interested in it. I just need to tell people about this. I think we'd be awesome together. Whatever your language is that you can see yourself saying, because again, you don't want to say anything that makes it seem even more fishy, because people already have their guards up. So if you're saying things that they would never expect you to say, it's just going to not look good. This is again with that building rapport, is being real, being genuine, being authentic. One thing my team hears me say a lot is, if you don't make it weird, it's not weird. Now, what I mean by that is, don't say things and make it weird. Be yourself and say things that you would normally say, and it won't be weird. Same with like sampling and with getting people's information when you're trying to close a sale or something. If you don't make it weird, it's not weird. If you are like, oh, well, I don't know if they'll really give me their credit card number, I don't want to take their information and put it in, all this stuff, then it's going to be weird. But if you're like, oh, hey, yep, I just need your credit card information for this and that, and you just act like you've done it for like years and years and years, and you've always done it this way, no one's going to question it. I've had physicians literally write their like credit card information on a piece of napkin and give it to me so that I can place a copy order for them. Like, I literally have somebody who makes way more money than me's credit card information. I know I'm not going to do anything bad with it. If you don't make it seem like you're going to do anything bad with it, it's people get really caught up in all this, like, oh, well, people don't want to give me their information. If you don't make it weird, it's not weird. Also, gauge where they're at. Do you think they need a follow-up, or do they see an opportunity for themselves? That is a really powerful statement. Just ask them, do you see an opportunity for yourself? Now that we've chatted about this, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I feel like we're, really connecting on this. I may be wrong, but do you see an opportunity for yourself? If it's not quite at that point, you need to set up a follow-up. If it feels weird, set up a follow-up. Start edifying your team, relate to what you said, what you shared earlier, and get them to another tool. There's this like 4-point thing where you make your list, you expose, you follow up, and you sort. You make your list, you expose, follow up, and sort. Well, you have to go between expose and follow up multiple times. You expose a little bit, then you follow up, you expose, you follow up. What did you like best? You're trying to answer enough of their questions where you're at a point where you can ask them, do you see an opportunity for themselves? And that's really the key question. So again, edifying your team, relating to what you said earlier, sharing tools for clarification, interest, intrigue in the meantime. Okay, so when you're getting them onto a follow-up call, like with Scott or with somebody else in your upline or somebody that you thought they would really connect with, give them something to kind of chew on in the meantime. So be like, okay, what does your schedule look like the next 3 days? Awesome. Let me see if, so-and-so is available at this time. But in the meantime, I know that you had a question about this. I really think you would enjoy this. Sending them this, what's your email? Keeping them engaged. Because people can be really, really excited when you're sitting down with them. But if you just give them, days and things are just kind of like floating off into the airways, they're going to start to forget that excitement. Because people don't dream anymore. People are taught by society not to dream that, when you're little, you're like, oh, I can do all this stuff. I can be an astronaut. I can be this. And as you get older, you're like, oh, I'm not smart enough for that. Well, that's never going to happen, obviously. So people are very easily taken out of the dream mode. You have to keep them in that dream mode. Okay. So that's the when. And a couple, I think this is the last thing. Yes. So the don'ts. Just to recap, don't make it complicated. Again, this is a lot of information that I gave you guys, but this is like extended. This is like me saying what I do, but also explaining why I do it. I'm obviously not going to do that when I'm sitting down showing the plan. You get to a point where the more you show the plan, the more streamlined it is. You can see that some of the stuff while I was explaining in the charts and stuff, I've said a lot. it just kind of rolls off my tongue now because I've said it a lot. I've explained it to every single person I've sat down with. So it just gets more streamlined, more simple. Don't make it complicated. Don't forget to use your tools. Again, I'm going to show you guys once I stop sharing my screen what I bring with me. I have this just like really thin thing that I bring with me that helps me show people this without being so overwhelming. Don't ignore the nonverbal cues. If it seems like they're getting uninterested, don't keep talking about it. Switch the subject, get back to something, not business oriented, because that's the other thing I tell my team is in network marketing, you either make friends or you make business partners or you make both. If it looks like they're getting really uninterested and it might not be for them, switch the subject, continue the relationship, because as you start to build this and as you start to travel more and, achieve your goals and do all these things, now that you've exposed them, they're going to start watching you. They're going to start seeing what you're doing on social media. They're going to start noticing. And as long as you maintain those relationships and you don't sit there and talk their ear off and, you're that girl that comes to all the parties and all that she does is talk about Alphay, they're going to be willing. And a lot of people actually come back and say, hey, so are you still doing that thing? And as long as you maintain that relationship, sometimes it's just not now. And they're kind of like leery still. So change the subject and talk about something else because, we're more than just Alphay. I already talked about the don't make it weird and don't do it all on your own. Okay. This is a tool to help people know and be confident on what to say and how to show the plan and getting you guys encouraged to just do it and not worry about, making a mistake and all the stuff because it's going to happen. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to show this to your first probably 10, 15 people and you're going to be like, wow, that didn't go well. Like I confused myself, I confused them, all this stuff, whatever. But the only way to get better at it is to keep doing it. But you have to remember to bring in your team. Don't do it on your own because if it's just you, again, that's not duplicatable. Your people, if they've only talked to you, then they're going to think that they just have to do this on their own and that's a lot of work. Anything that seems like a lot of work isn't going to be attractive to people. And also sometimes you can say the same thing that the other person said and the person you're talking to just hears it so much better from this person. I've had that so many times where we go to trainings and, we have a lot of awesome mentors and we'll go to training and they'll talk about something and someone on my team will be like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad they said this because of that. And, I'm thinking like, I said that like to you like 5 times already, but they need other people to hear it from. They need other people and that's okay. And you want that because that's why we have a team. And that's why this is going to be residual income. You're eventually not going to have to do this all the time because you have a team of people who are also doing it. So that is the end of my training on showing the plan. And so hopefully I'm stopping sharing now. Oh, I wanted to show you guys what I use because this is just like a really thin thing and I just have things clipped in it and these are all the things that I have on my Google Drive. So I bring this thin thing with me to my sit downs and I just have a Google Drive that I have all of those things that I print off and if I want to give it to someone I can just give it to them and say, hey, you want to look at that deeper, and then I just replace it. And so I bring that with me everywhere that I go and it can fit in a purse. It's really thin. It's not like I'm coming to coffee with this big bag and I'm having all my products out and, it's just casual. And if it comes to the point where I feel like it's not really the right time to bring it out, they're not already like, oh, wow, she brought a whole bag of stuff to show me. I can just pretend like that didn't happen. So.
Sammy, this was awesome. Thank you so much. We only have a few minutes left.
Yeah, sorry.
This was excellent. And you've talked enough about Denise doing the 4 fish. We're going to have to recruit Denise to do that talk if she's willing to do that. That would be great to hear. Excellent. So we only have literally 1 minute left. Are there any questions that you have for our gal Sammy, who did an incredible job tonight?
Excellent. Bravo. It was spectacular, Sam. Way to go.
Yeah, really excellent. We will, this has been recorded, and we will have this up on the site within the next 24 hours. We'll have it at the Alphay newsletter. We did do a special feature on Barbara Liang, the former CEO, showed some really private videos that we had right here in New York City. Would you all like to see that again Sunday, or would you like to have a different training? We did say we were going to repeat it for Sunday, so I think we will. We're getting enough nods that people want to do that. So we'll have a replay next Sunday of Barbara Liang, and then we'll also just check with her and make sure it's okay to post those. Sammy, thank you so much. This was so incredible. We really need these kind of trainings. Every training that we want to have from here on in is going to be about how we can show that plan better and better. And I hope that some of you will be encouraged to do this immediately so that you can share your results with it when we have our training next Sunday. Maybe we can have next Wednesday Denise doing her 4 fish. How does that sound, Denise? All right. So we got to do the 4 fish that Sammy's been talking about, and we'll put them side by side when they do that recording. Guys, thank you so much. Samantha, this was so outstanding. I don't know how to thank you, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of everybody that came tonight. Guys, thank you very much. Have a beautiful evening. And Sammy, thanks again. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha.